My friends and my family, this is Trevor Chapman, modern day man, entrepreneur, achiever, purveyor of the good life, student of life, marketer. After over 10 years in business, tens of millions of dollars, I've learned this one thing. There's too much noise. It takes tactics and strategy. You can't buy it, you earn it through experience. Failure after failure hones the craft. You must become a warrior. It's time to run. The experience you can't buy. You had to have earned it. It's my turn to give back and contribute. I share all of my lessons from 7 to 8 and from 8 to 9 figures. We'll see if it goes from 9 to 10, but I'm gonna give it all to you. Consistency, persistence, dedication, vision, time, discipline, work. I'm gonna give it all to you so that you learn from where I failed and you learn from my experience. My brothers, this is your daily fuel.
My friends, how are you? This is Trevor. I'm excited to come at you today. So we just got a big F350. I got it for two reasons. I'm not much of a spender. We've got the same car that we had in college, and we didn't upgrade for years. Now we had to upgrade because we have 5 kids, and so the only SUV that would fit everybody that we considered was an Escalade. So we have an Escalade and a 2005 Prius. We're not big spenders, but for this particular purchase, it was necessary for two reasons. Number one, we got an Airstream. It's always been one of my dreams. I love being out trekking, camping, backpacking, and our family just got too big to do it consistently, and so I knew that we needed an RV. And I love Airstreams. I love the way they look. I love everything about them. And so we initially were pulling it with the Escalade, and that just slowly started to destroy everything on it. So we knew that we needed a vehicle that would last, 500,000 miles, if that's the distance that we put on it. Have some mechanics in the family, brothers-in-law, who are just really into them, and they said, hey man, F350 is the way to go. Long story short, I got it to support both the logistics business, because on almost the every other day basis, we are renting large box trucks with huge containers coming in and whatnot, and so I can use it over there, save some money on those box trucks, and then I can also tow my Airstream everywhere I want. But I'm telling you all this not so that you're like, oh hey, high five, you have an F350. It's because we have spent probably 2 months looking for the right one. Now, I'm not innately this way, but my wife is, and our brother-in-law, who I call Duke, is like an F350 nut. He loves them. And so he was looking through them all, updating us, and today, finally, he texted me and said, hey, I found the one, drive down here ASAP. We got down there, and when I see something I want, I'll negotiate slightly, but once I believe that we've reached the apex of negotiation, I'm down just to move forward. And I could see that this one was more expensive than we wanted. It was used. I'm not a new vehicle buyer by any means. I don't find that wise for my life. Potentially for someone else it is, but for me it's not. And it doesn't fit with my financial. I have a checklist. When I buy something, it has to fit these principles or values, and if it does, I get it. If it doesn't, well, then I don't need it, right? And so that's what I base everything on when I get stuff. Long story short, I had been talking. I even got the guy that prices the vehicles to come over. We went to a place where they have no commission salespeople. They have a base pay, and then they get bonuses based on the quantity of vehicles. So all this stuff to work in our favor. And I saw his books, I saw everything, and when we whittled it down, I even saw the profit that they would make on the vehicle after all costs, etc. And when it got to a reasonable level to me, which I thought was rock bottom for them, they couldn't go any lower without maintaining, their business. I don't want them to go under. I want them to absolutely be able to maintain their business. So when it got to the point where I thought, hey, this is it, this is fair, I was ready to move forward. And the problem is that so when it got to that point and I was ready to pull the trigger, I looked over at my wife and I saw that she was not convinced. She was not ready. She wanted more off. She wanted to feel like we had won. It was already an incredible deal, but she kept going. And I've been married long enough and I love her enough to respect her opinion that I just said, okay, I'm going to go with this. Now, I want to remind you, I've been in sales for a long time, and I was certain that we had got rock bottom. As she started to negotiate, it became even more clear to me that we had already got rock bottom. There was nothing more that they could carve out without losing money. And it got to the point where we shook hands and stood up, and we're going to walk out. And we started to walk out, and I was shaking my head. I was literally like, this is the best. We're not going to find one better than this for our price point. And I was disappointed. And I was like, man, is this pride? What is this? Like, why is it that, this is an incredible deal? And right as we walked out, and guys, trust me, we had the conversation with him where, look, we don't want to go through the hassle of walking out, getting, sticker price. Let's just be real. And we had that transparent conversation with him. And as we were walking out, he said, we do have a price per walk-in that we spend on advertising. So per walk-in into the store, and we know how many people have to walk in before we sell one, we have a monthly budget on that. If I remove that from this vehicle, or if I don't pay that for the next walk-in, would you consider buying it? And we said, how much is that? $500? And she agreed. And I bring this up to show you, to illustrate how inefficient it is to not just assume, but be certain that you have reached the end of your negotiations. For all of you that are in e-commerce or importing or anything like that, we negotiate over pennies overseas in China and Mexico and Thailand, Vietnam, everywhere that we buy stuff from, Russia, we buy stuff from, I negotiate until I believe that it is a win-win, where we are getting it cheaper than we could anywhere else, but after their cost of raw materials and labor, etc., it's a great deal for them. And I always go to the point where I feel that it's rock bottom, but it showed me today, they would not have made that deal if they would have been losing money, but there was an additional $500 that they took off of that vehicle that they were willing to do to get the sale, and I had completely, if you would have asked me, I would have bet $100,000 that there was nothing more they could have done. No joke. I mean, hours we were there. Nothing more that we could have done. I trusted this guy through and through. Blew my mind. So the lesson for me is simply this. Number one, I've learned to just absolutely trust my wife. So if you have a partner in business or life, go through the ringer so that you guys know each other well enough. And I knew her well enough to know that she was going to get a better deal or we weren't going to get it at all. And I assumed we weren't going to get it. And she ended up getting a better deal. So number one, you need to have that relationship, especially in a business relationship. It needs to be there. Number two, you have never capped out the end of your ability to negotiate. You have never reached the end of the road. And it blew me away that she was able to do that. So, practically, how can we work this out? Practically, what does this mean for you? Oftentimes, people sell products online. And this is for everybody, not just online marketers. Remember, I've been a brick and mortar entrepreneur for a lot longer than I've been online. But let's talk about online marketing for a second. Often people find that their product is not selling. And what do? They lower the price. I have found that more often than not, sales increase when you raise the price. We are accustomed to find the value in things. As I look at an item, I see its value, as do you. And as it's described to us, or as we describe it to others, we inflate and illustrate the perceived value. If there is a discrepancy between the value it is being sold at and the perceived value that it was illustrated effectively to, we don't buy because we assume that there must be something wrong with it. What's the catch, etc. You describe something to me, I'm like, dude, that's $1,000 product. Then I'm like, how much is it? $49? I don't buy because I anticipated 1,000. And if you're selling it for only 49, then man, what's the catch? I'm asking you to do the thing that is less intuitive. Real world example. We would be selling door to door. And as we would sell business to business, right? As we would sell surveillance systems, we'd tell them about everything that it would do. And in the beginning, I wanted to get the sales, so I would drop as low as I could. They would not buy. I found that when I started adding, I'm not joking here, guys, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to the budget, same product sold. Because people put a value on things and you need to hit their ballpark. And so I'm utilizing this example of having hit the end of the road of what I thought the negotiation was and then even be able to cut more back. I'm using that, even though it's the opposite of what I'm talking about right now, to illustrate that what seems finite and ending will continue. So when you've dropped a product or a service so low that you think everybody will sign up, the solution is beyond that. And it often lies in raising the rate. Do not undervalue your service, your product, or you value. The man that comes to me and says, I'm going to get you all these results and it's going to cost you fairly. If I bring you $100,000 in business that you wouldn't have otherwise had, I want $40,000 to $60,000. That's fair to me. But if he says, I'm going to increase your EBITDA by $100,000 this year, and I only want $500 in return, unlikely to follow through. Me with him. Consider this concept and find out how you can negotiate a little bit more after you've reached the end of the road. And then get a little bit more for your products or services when you feel that you've gone to the end of the road. Until tomorrow, all my love, all my respect. Trevor out.